Okay, so if you're going to add or subtract fractions, recall that that requires that fractions have a common denominator. So to combine two fractions over a common denominator, we add or subtract the numerators. All right, so let's start out with each of these fractions trying to find common denominators. So let's take this first one here in letter A, this example right here. What have we got? Well, x squared and y, 6x and 12xy. What does everything have in common? Well, 6 goes into 12, so we have to have a 12 in each of these common factors. So let's see. I know that to get a 12 in the denominator right here, I have to multiply a 12 in the numerator of this fraction as well. I also note that each factor has x squared and something about y in there. So I have to have x squared and y. Now I've already got that here. So I need to make sure that I have x squared and y in every fraction. 12x squared and y in every fraction, right? That's our least common denominator. 12 times x squared, since x is shared by all of them, but only this one has x squared, times y. All right, so let's see. I have 6x already, and what do I have to multiply by 6x to get 12x squared y? And that is 2xy has to be multiplied by that. So I have to take 2x times y times whatever I have in my numerator. All right, we've got 12xy already in our denominator here. What's missing? Well, looks like we need an x to get 12x squared y, so that means I have to multiply x by whatever I have in my numerator. That gives me 36 divided by 12, x squared y in my denominator, 10xy divided by 12x squared y in my denominator, minus 7x divided by 12x squared y in my denominator. So altogether, when I combine these guys of my common denominator of 12x squared y, I'm going to have 36 minus 10xy minus 7x. So let's look at our second fraction here. This time we've got a similar idea. In our denominators, looks like we've got x times y, and y squared. So let's decide on the least common denominator. For sure, each of my fractions have to contain an x, since there's x's in two of the different fractions, but not in the third. And it looks like there's a y and a y squared here, so it has to be x times y squared to make this work. So let's work out what we have. In our numerator, since we already have x here, we need a y squared in this denominator. That means I'm going to have to take 5y and multiply an extra y squared here as well. Subtracting from that, I've got x times y in my denominator, but to get xy squared, I have to multiply in an extra factor of y. So I do that to the numerator as well. I have y squared in my denominator already in the third fraction, but not an x. So I have to multiply that 4x into the second fraction, the third fraction as well. Now that I have xy squared in each of my denominators, I can combine my numerators over that common denominator. This becomes xy squared. We've got 5y cubed minus 9y minus 4x. And this is my reduced fraction that combined everything over the common denominator of xy squared. More in the next video.